If you feel like everything could change at any second, this is your sign. You're not anxious, you're aligned, and what's coming next is bigger than you think. If you're watching this right now, there is no accident in it, no coincidence, no random algorithmic luck that placed these words in front of your eyes at this precise moment in your life. Because moments like this do not arrive without reason. They arrive because something inside you has already shifted, and your awareness has begun to move faster than your circumstances, faster than your environment, faster than the people around you. And when that happens, reality responds by sending signals, subtle at first, almost unnoticeable, like a whisper in the background of your thoughts, a strange emotional tension you can't quite explain, a feeling that you are standing on the edge of something enormous without being able to see what it is yet. And that feeling, the mix of excitement and fear, the sense of pressure without danger, the awareness that something is about to change, is not anxiety, it is alignment. It is the moment when the future you has leaned backward through time and touched the present you on the shoulder to say, "You're closer than you think, don't stop now." Most people misunderstand this sensation. They interpret it as stress, self-doubt, or the fear of failure. But those interpretations come from old survival programming, from a mind that learned to associate intensity with danger. Because for most of human history, intensity did mean danger, scarcity, or loss. Yet you are not living in survival anymore. You are living in expansion, and expansion feels intense because it stretches you beyond what you've known, beyond what you've been taught to expect, beyond what your past self believed was possible. The reason you feel like you might mess it all up right now is not because you are incapable, but because the identity you have been operating from is beginning to dissolve, and the mind panics when it senses the death of an old self, even if that death is what allows a greater version of you to be born. This is the hidden cause behind your struggle. You are not fighting obstacles, you are shedding limitations. And shedding always feels like loss before it feels like freedom. The universe does not test you by taking things away at random. It tests you by offering you a doorway that your old identity cannot fit through, forcing you to either shrink back into comfort or expand forward into truth. That tightness in your chest, that restlessness in your thoughts, that urge to keep going even when you're tired, those are symptoms of timeline convergence. The point where the life you've been living and the life you are meant to live begin collapsing into one another, creating friction, pressure, and heat, like two tectonic plates grinding together before a new landscape rises from the impact. You were never meant to arrive at your breakthrough calmly. Calm comes after alignment, not before it, and right now you are in the storm before the clarity. The moment where everything feels unstable, because stability is being redefined. Look back at your life honestly, and you will notice a pattern. Every major transformation you have ever experienced was preceded by confusion, exhaustion, and doubt. Not because you were on the wrong path, but because you were outgrowing the old one, and growth always destabilizes before it strengthens. The mind wants guarantees before movement, but reality only offers confirmation after commitment, and this is where most people turn back, not because they lack talent or intelligence or worth, but because they misread the signs and assume the discomfort means stop, when in truth it means continue. The future you, the one who already won, who already broke through, who already stepped into alignment, is not distant, not unreachable, not mythical, but active, present, and influential, constantly sending impulses backward through time in the form of intuition, attraction, repetition, and emotional charge, nudging you toward decisions that don't make logical sense yet but feel undeniably right. That's why certain ideas won't leave you alone, why certain visions keep returning even when you try to be practical, why certain paths feel magnetic despite the fear attached to them, because logic is rooted in the past, while intuition is rooted in the future, and when the two clash, it is not intuition that is wrong, It is timing that has not yet caught up. You are not here because you are lost. You are here because you are being prepared, and preparation feels like confusion when you don't yet see the outcome it is shaping you for. The struggle you've been facing recently, the resistance, the delays, the emotional heaviness, is not punishment, it is compression. The same force that turns carbon into diamonds. The same pressure that forces seeds to crack before they can grow. The same intensity that precedes every genuine leap forward in consciousness. You are not breaking down. You are breaking through. And the reason it feels personal is because the transformation is personal, because it is not about changing your circumstances alone, but about changing the lens through which you experience them. This is the quantum shift guiding your path, the moment where you stop trying to control outcomes and start aligning with inevitability. Because some winds do not need to be chased, they need to be allowed, and allowing requires trust, surrender, and the courage to stand still long enough for reality to rearrange itself around you. Right now you are standing in a narrow corridor between who you were and who you are becoming, and corridors are uncomfortable because they are transitional, because they are not meant to be lived in, only passed through. Yet many people panic in the corridor and turn back simply because it does not feel like home, forgetting that the destination has not yet revealed itself. If you feel like everything is happening at once and nothing is happening fast enough, that is not contradiction, that is convergence, multiple timelines collapsing into a single direction, removing distractions, removing detours, removing false options so that only the true path remains visible, even if it feels lonely. Even if it feels uncertain, even if it demands more from you than you thought you had to give. The fear you feel right now is not fear of failure, it is fear of success, fear of responsibility, fear of becoming visible, fear of no longer being able to hide behind excuses or delays. Because once you win, you cannot unknow what you know, you cannot return to unconsciousness, and the ego resists that final step with everything it has. But understand this clearly, the presence of fear does not mean stop. It means you are standing at the threshold of something real, something that matters, something that will change you permanently. If this video found you, it is because you are already in motion, already awakening, already aligned enough to recognize the signal when it appears, and recognition is the first act of power, the moment you stop doubting your experience and start honoring it. You are not behind. You are right on time, and the reason this message resonates is because it is not new information. It is a reminder of something you already know deep down, something you have always known but were waiting for permission to trust. There is no mistake in your journey, no wasted effort, no wrong turn that cannot be integrated into your win, because nothing you have experienced was random. Everything was training, everything was calibration. Everything was shaping your nervous system, your perception, and your resilience for the level you are about to step into. This is not the end of the struggle because the struggle was never the enemy. The misinterpretation of it was, and now that you can see it clearly, you are free to move forward without resistance, without self-sabotage, without fear of messing it all up. Because you cannot mess up what is already aligned, you can only delay it by refusing to trust yourself. And even delay is temporary when the direction is true. You are not waiting for the win. The win is waiting for you to stop questioning whether you deserve it, and that realization alone is enough to shift everything. Once you understand that the feeling you are experiencing is not a warning but a signal, everything begins to change, not suddenly on the outside, but subtly and irreversibly on the inside, because awareness is the true catalyst of transformation. And once you see reality differently, you can never fully return to the old perception that kept you small, cautious, or waiting for permission. This is where empowerment begins, not as loud confidence or forced positivity, but as quiet certainty, the kind that settles into your nervous system and rewires how you respond to uncertainty, challenge, and opportunity. When you stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if this discomfort is proof that I'm aligned?" the entire emotional charge of your experience shifts, And what once felt like pressure becomes propulsion. What once felt like fear becomes focus. And what once felt like chaos becomes clarity and motion. The quantum shift is not about escaping reality or denying difficulty. It is about recognizing that reality is far more responsive than you were taught to believe, and that your internal state is not a reaction to circumstances but a tuning mechanism that selects which version of reality you experience. Every thought you sustain, every emotion you normalize, every belief you repeat acts as a vote for a specific timeline. And the reason this moment feels so intense is because you are no longer unconsciously voting for outcomes. You are becoming aware of the choice itself. Awareness is power, and power always feels heavy before it feels liberating, because responsibility enters the equation the moment you realize you are not a victim of randomness, but a participant in creation. This is why some people retreat when they awaken, because it is easier to blame fate than to shape it, easier to complain than to commit, easier to stay asleep than to carry the weight of conscious intention. But you did not come this far to turn back now, and the fact that you are still here, still searching, still listening, means you are already stronger than the resistance trying to stop you. The old timelines you are leaving behind were built on reaction, on survival, on proving, pleasing, and performing, while the new timeline you are stepping into is built on resonance, on authenticity, on alignment between who you are and what you do. And alignment does not ask you to force outcomes, it asks you to become the kind of person for whom the outcome is inevitable. This is the empowerment that changes everything. Because once you understand that becoming precedes receiving, you stop chasing validation and start embodying truth. And truth has gravity. Truth pulls opportunities, people, and experiences toward it effortlessly. You will notice shifts that seem small but are actually profound. You respond instead of react. You choose silence instead of explanation. You trust timing instead of rushing. You feel less urgency to convince and more patience to observe. And these are not signs of disengagement. They are signs of mastery, the calm confidence of someone who knows they are already on the path and no longer needs external confirmation to stay on it. The world may not immediately reflect your inner change, and that is by design, because reality always lags behind consciousness, giving you time to stabilize your new identity before testing it with external feedback. And those tests will come, not to stop you but to strengthen your embodiment of what you've realized. You will be tempted to doubt again, to question whether you imagined the shift, whether the alignment was real, whether the signal meant anything at. But doubt at this stage is not regression, it is integration. The mind's attempt to reconcile the old framework with the new awareness, and patience with yourself during this phase is essential, because rushing clarity only creates resistance, while allowing uncertainty creates space for insight to land naturally. Remember this, the universe does not respond to desperation, it responds to coherence, to the state where your thoughts, emotions, and actions are no longer fighting each other. And coherence is built through trust, repetition, and self-honesty, not through force or control. As you continue forward, you will begin to recognize the subtle support that was always there but previously unnoticed synchronicities, timely conversations, unexpected openings, intuitive nudges that lead you exactly where you need to be, without effort. And these are not miracles, they are feedback, confirmations that you are no longer pushing against the current, but moving with it. This is where community becomes important, not because you need others to validate your experience, but because awakening can feel isolating in environments that are not yet ready to understand it. And being surrounded, even virtually, by those who recognize the same signals, reminds you that you are not alone, that what you are experiencing has a pattern, a structure, and a purpose beyond personal struggle. When your awakening is celebrated instead of questioned, your nervous system relaxes, your energy stabilizes, and your ability to remain aligned increases, which is why choosing what you consume, who you listen to, and where you invest your attention matters more now than ever before. Attention is currency, and where you spend it determines which timeline you continue to energize. The old world thrives on distraction, fear, and division because those states keep people reactive and predictable, while the new world you are stepping into thrives on presence, awareness, and integrity because those states create individuals who cannot be controlled through fear alone. You are not required to reject the old world aggressively or prove anything to anyone. Your growth will speak for itself. Your calm will disrupt more than anger ever could, and your alignment will open doors that effort alone never could. As you move forward from this moment, understand that winning is not a single event, not a finish line, not a trophy handed to you at the end of suffering. Winning is a state of being, a way of moving through life without resistance to yourself, without betrayal of your intuition, without shrinking to fit expectations that were never meant for you. The external wins, the opportunities, the recognition, the abundance, are byproducts of that state, not the source of it. And when you stop defining success by outcomes alone and start defining it by alignment, you become unstoppable, because alignment cannot be taken from you, stolen, or revoked. It can only be abandoned, and once you know what it feels like, you will never willingly abandon it again. If you feel a sense of calm right now, or a quiet clarity settling in, or even emotional release, that is integration happening in real time, your system adjusting to a higher baseline of awareness. And this is why this video found you when it did. Not earlier, not later, but exactly now, when you were ready to hear it without resistance, ready to receive it without distortion. This is not the end of your journey. It is the moment you stop fighting it, and from this point forward, every step you take will feel more intentional, more meaningful, more connected, because you are no longer moving blindly. You are moving with understanding, with trust, and with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that the win is not coming someday. It is already unfolding, already aligning, already yours to step into the moment you fully allow yourself to become who you were always meant to be. If this message found you, it's not random. Subscribe now and stay connected to the signals guiding your breakthrough. Because once you start waking up, you're not meant to do it alone.